The Buddy Radio, BridgeCom's systems entry into the FRS market. That's today on HOA Ham. Let's take care of this unboxing HOA Ham style. When you purchase the BridgeCom Buddy Radio bundle, you'll receive two of everything that we see here. A microphone and earpiece combo, a box which keeps the radio separated from everything else so that there's no damage during transit, a obligatory lanyard, not my cup of tea, but perhaps it is yours and you use them, a pretty sturdy belt clip, which I'm looking forward to getting on the back of the radio and seeing how well it keeps that radio clip to my pocket or belt, the obligatory brick and charge cable, of which I already have 32,500 in my junk drawer, as do you, the user's manual or pamphlet. It's got to be basic, but then again, we're talking about an FRS radio, and if it's not intuitive out of the box, we already have a problem. Of course, our radio and our battery. You can see there's a groove that the battery will ride the whole way up as you slide it in from the bottom, and then there is a spring-loaded latch right here that you will force down as you push the battery on, and then that is what holds the battery in place. So the battery rides the whole way in that groove, and you can see that it's flat in the front and raised in the back. It's because it's pushing on that spring-loaded latch. Push it down, snap in place, and now it is firmly installed. And then to remove the battery, you pull down on this latch, and the battery just slides off. Real simple. So that's how quickly we install our batteries. Doesn't get any easier. Now let's power up, key up. I have placed my secondary wireless microphone in frame so we can hear what the buddies do and announce as we power them on. You initiate a power on cycle by long pressing the orange power button.
1.
When they power on, they announce what channel they are currently programmed to, and of course both radios need to be on the same channel to be able to communicate with each other. The plus minus buttons on the side are not volume.
2, 3, 2, 1.
They are channel selection.
1.
The radios have two PTT buttons, one on the left side and one on the front. The radio that transmits will have a red ring around it, and the radio that receives will have a green ring around it. For volume, that's a toggle switch here on the top. And you get a beep indicator that kind of gives you an idea of how loud it is. Let's do a quick sound check. I'm going to grab one of the buddies, turn off my lapel mic so it's muted, walk to the other side of the house and just key up, and let's see what it sounds like.
Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3, testing the BridgeCom Buddy.
One more thing before we go into a brief use case and then a review, what I like about the BridgeCom Buddy. And you just saw it happen right here. You saw a green flash around the center PTT button. Because there is no screen with these FRS radios, to keep them extraordinarily simple to use and to conserve energy, you need an indication that you're actually powered on. And so periodically, you will get a green flash around your front PTT to be an indicator to you that you are indeed powered on. Let's address the elephant in the room. Bob, you have a general class amateur radio license. What's up with FRS? First, I'm not just into ham radio, but rather all forms of communication, emergency or otherwise, as appropriate to the situation. Second, not everyone I may want to communicate with is a ham. If you go on a hunting or camping trip with your buddies, it's likely they're not all hams. Your spouse or significant other may not be a ham. I know when I go into the attic to work on my antennas or feed lines, and I need the XYL on the ground to help, I'm not likely to take my $1,300 iPhone 13 Pro with me. I'd rather have a low-cost but adequate FRS. Of course, I'm trying to bring my grandson into the ham way of life from childhood, and obviously I wouldn't hand him my FT3DR at 5 years old even if he could legally transmit. Boy, here's your FRS, let's go play radio. Pop, can you hear me? That's the extent of our communication. FRS is a low-cost, reliable method of communication and has its place in all of our kits. Now, what do I think of the BridgeCom Buddy? The Buddy is exactly what it claims to be, an extremely simple to operate FRS radio. The large center PTT button will accommodate using with gloves in the cold of winter. The lack of a screen allows for minimal power consumption and simplifies the user interface. When I hand the Redivis RT45 to my grandson, he can't stop pushing buttons and asking, "What's on the screen, Pop?" And before you know it, the two radios are disconnected. And while we have the RT45 in hand, let's take a look at the size difference between the two. So the Buddy is shorter, more narrow in this direction, and it's about half the thickness of the RT45. And the RT45 is very typical of a size of an FRS radio. Now, while we're on this RT45, let me talk to you about power consumption. This RT45 drains batteries faster than you would expect during a power down mode. In other words, when it's in storage waiting to be needed for an emergency. The last thing you want to do is grab your FRS and not have the ability to power up and key up because it ran out of power. So speaking of power, watch what you can do with the Buddy. So here I have a typical power brick. Let me go ahead and plug this in. Let's come on over and go into the power port of the FRS. So you can charge your Buddy from any power brick that you currently own. And better yet than just being able to charge from the power brick is that you can transmit while you are charging using the power brick. In other words, you not only have your 1200 milliamp battery on the back of your FRS radio, but you can take any power brick that you have in your possession and charge while you're using the radio. Basically, endless supply of power to your FRS radio. Did I mention the solid feel of the Buddy FRS? And let me tell you what I mean by that. Here's the premier handheld scanner on the market today, the Uniden SDS100. This is a 6.5 Benjamin piece of kit, but it doesn't feel like it, and any of you who own it know what I'm talking about. Here is my Anytone 878. It was about 3 Benjamins. This thing is built like a tank. If I dropped my SDS100 on the tile floor, as it was falling, its life would be flashing before my eyes, and after impact, I would expect to see pieces of it scattered all about the floor. If I dropped my Anytone 878 on the tile, I would be checking the tile floor for cracks. I realize this is a subjective thought, but the Buddy, when it comes to feel, is more in that category of you would be looking at the tile floor to look at the damage. It's just not heavy enough to do it. But it's more like that 878 than it is the SDS100. If you appreciate the content I'm bringing you on HOA Ham, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell to be reminded when new videos post. If you're in the market for the Buddy or Anytone or BridgeCom gear, consider using my affiliate link below. Let's wrap this up. BridgeCom Systems is my supplier of choice for Anytone radios, which they sell at competitive prices. And for their hotspot, the BridgeCom SkyBridge. I could have purchased something cheaper, but I don't know if I could have purchased something better. The Buddy is similar in some ways in that you can get cheaper FRS radios in a blister pack from Wallbounds or from the online A to Z store, and I do purchase from both. You can also buy this FRS radio form factor cheaper with the manufacturer's branding. But with BridgeCom, you'll get a 12-month warranty, a 1200 rather than 1000 milliamp hour battery, the ability to purchase spare batteries. You'll be supporting a U.S. company that is a pillar in the amateur radio communication field. You'll receive BridgeCom phone support, email support, and access to their official Facebook page, which is engaged by BridgeCom staff. They respond. You decide if those benefits are meaningful to you. Now a quick distance test. I'll grant I didn't flex the Buddy to its limit, but I was working alone on a POTA and was putting my iPhone at risk as I walked away from it. I got close to a quarter mile of distance with a clear line of sight. I'm out doing a POTA activation at K1880 today, and I knew I would have some space to go do a line of sight test to the BridgeCom Buddy FRS. So I'm going to take a hike way down there. As I go, I'll mute my microphone, and I've got the second Buddy set up behind the camera here with my second microphone, and let's just see how far we can hear line of sight.
My microphone is muted. Hopefully you can hear me now. This is test 1, 2, 3. Test 1. I sure hope while I'm walking with my back to the camera that nobody's stealing my iPhone or my second Buddy. This is test 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm about a third of the distance that I wanted to go. I basically am going to walk until you probably can barely see me in the camera anymore. I should probably, edit this in the video because no one wants to watch me walk for 5 minutes, especially this side of me. I think this is test number 3. I'm losing count. Testing 1, 2, 3. How am I sounding? I'm probably 2/3 of the way there. I can still see my tripod. Nobody's stolen it yet. Test 3, test 4. Lost count. I'm too old to remember this stuff. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm 3/4 of the way there till I'm at the end of this trail. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is the final test. Can you see me? I don't know, what is this, 4 or 5? Again, I've lost count. Just to see what the Buddy can do. Line of sight. More tests to come.
There you go, friend. Everything you need to know about the BridgeCom Buddy FRS radio. Hope you found this helpful. 73.